Hey y'all, and welcome to PolitiBrawl. My name is Brian, and y'all, I don't really know how Scott Jennings does it. And I bet he's about had it with this ridiculous group of CNN panelists, and guess what? This isn't even the worst that they can get. Let's dive in.
Let me just clearly state what he lied about, just so we're on the same page. Fair. All right. During the campaign, Donald Trump said that he was going to bring prices down. Today, he simply said, you know what? Those prices, particularly grocery prices, are not going to come down. I don't know if you have children, but if you do, if your children tell you if they tell you one thing on one day and then they come back and tell you that's not what's going to happen, that is considered a lie. That's first. The second thing is, just from a very, very 50,000-foot view, one of the things we know is Scott was actually 50% correct, and that Democrats did not do a good job in telling our story. We did not do a good job of addressing the pain that Americans felt. We said one of the mistakes we made throughout Biden's campaign was saying, Biden's presidency was saying that inflation was transitory. Like, those things were not accurate because there are people who were out there feeling the pain of the price of eggs, feeling the pain of the price of whiting, like my dad at Piggly Wiggly. Those things were real. What Scott was not accurate about, which kind of happens around the table sometimes, although I know you want to be.
Don't touch me.
I can't touch you.
All right, everybody keep your hands to yourselves at the table.
All right, but one of the things Scott was not accurate about, there was a reason why we have inflation in the first place. This is not Joe Biden's policy.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
This is.
Sure it is.
Of course it is.
It's actually no. Of course it's not.
Putting
Because
$2
you know
trillion
what?
in the
Do you know what? Do you know why did we put
government spending on top of
But why did that
government
happen?
spending?
But why did that happen? So let's be honest.
Because he was paying off the Green Lobby that helped put him in
No,
office.
the reason it happened is
Can we
because
talk about
the reason it happened is because the reason it happened is because we had a once in 100-year pandemic, and you know what happened across the globe?
We're coming out of.
You know what happened across the globe? You had inflation rise across the globe. You know who addressed that issue? Joe Biden addressed that issue. And you know who is the reason why we have the inflation that we have? And one of the things that Scott was again right about is Democrats didn't label it what it was. That's Trumpflation.
The Dems have been making this argument for 18 months, which is that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were the least bad of the bad world leaders. That was effectively their argument.
Instead of
and it's a bad
relitigating,
argument. Tariffs are an opportunity to say to Canada, to say to Mexico, to say to China, to say of all our partners in the EU, you can't put 100% tariff on our cars, or we're going to start putting a tariff on your cars. Mexico, if you allow Chinese vehicles to come in under the USMCA, and you try to do that, we're going to put tariffs on your vehicles. Canada, if you don't shut your border down, we're going to put tariffs.
What's it worth to anybody to actually get these other countries, especially Mexico, to get their attention on immigration and drugs and everything else? What's it worth?
It's
Is it,
already
I know
on
for you, you're not willing to pay a quarter more for an avocado to fix this.
we
problem.
already have the cooperation of the Mexican government, which you refuse to acknowledge.
After Trump
And
made
Scott,
his
one
threat,
second.
No,
he called
a
up
year
real quick.
ago,
That's not true,
the
though.
Mexican government
Acknowledge the
more.
fact. I'm going to say that.
All right, hold on one second.
A year ago, the Mexican government deployed a lot more resources to their own southern border and have intercepted migrants on their way. Why are you shaking your head? This is the absolute truth.
This is why. It's a mess.
That's why border crossings are down 75%. They're about what they were when Trump was in office.
It's a mess.
I don't care if you say it's a mess.
How many people came in over the last 4 years?
Mexico is
So
cooperating.
let me just stop here.
Punishing our own consumers is not going to help Mexico cooperate.
Avocado toast. It's a huge problem.
Scott,
We have to fix this.
I want us to address the facts that are on the table.
Oh, you want to address the facts that are on the table? Oh, okay. Let's start off with, what's her name? Oh, bless her heart. Catherine Ramble. Okay, Rampell, it should be more like it, but let's be honest, she did nothing but ramble right there at the end. She said nothing of substance that mattered to any part of this plot. And by the way, there are 3 different plots going on. This is an edited video, but it's edited to show a different facet of how ridiculous these CNN panels truly get. Because let's start off with the end. Catherine Rampell is... Let me put it to you this way. She is not a crazy leftist, but she is an ivory tower leftist that is trying to reconcile the Marxist ideologies that keep on tugging at her purse strings, and then the actual capitalist tendencies that makes economies great. So here's a tweet by her. What are the best books you've read intended for left-leaning audiences that make the case for preserving/improving capitalism? Okay. That basically means that this chick does understand that capitalism is a good thing. Free enterprise, good thing. Owning private property, good thing. Karl Marx would look at all of those and go, excuse me, no, that's terrible, because private property is theft. Seriously, imagine saying such a dumb statement after the 150 years of failures that have been Marxist policies, and then still saying that in the modern day. That's not what Rampel is talking about. She is trying to come from the perspective of, we don't need to punish Mexico and American consumers to get a net positive, that there are other ways to do things. Because, in her mind, she thinks that the pressure that Mexico put at their own southern border to deal with illegal immigration, particularly immigration that was coming into the United States, and that capped a huge portion of the number of migrants at the same rate that were coming in under the Trump administration. That is a logical idea, except that there were other things involved, other things going on, like, I don't know. How about Venezuela opening up their prisons and telling their people, go to the United States, just get out of our country? Okay? That is a massive problem, and that's probably, at least that's Occam's razor here in my opinion, that's probably why Mexico actually cared about illegal immigration again, because it was starting to affect them. And so she thinks that, oh, if Trump comes after our avocado toast, and if he comes after a couple of things that are actually made in Mexico, even though the quality is terrible and for some reason we buy here, that's going to hurt American consumers. I'm sorry, I don't care. I am willing to pay a couple of extra pennies on the dollar for a random donut or a slice of toast to deal with the illegal immigration problem, lady. I am willing to make that small sacrifice in order to protect American citizens. You might call that a terrible thing, but no, that is a worthwhile sacrifice, honey. So yeah, while Catherine Rampel is not exactly the dullest knife in the drawer, she certainly ain't the sharpest. However, when it comes to ultimately dull, you have Bakari Sellers. Right at the beginning, he is a former representative from South Carolina, and you can tell he's got some Southern background, although he sort of has that no accent, so to speak. And that's something that if you've lived in the South, you end up losing if you go to the suburbs or go to the city. You ultimately lose your Southern accent, which I have been guilty of. Back when I was a kid, I had a thick accent, sounded like this. But I was about 4 at the time. Then Yankees started teaching me in elementary school, and I started losing my accent. So this guy is supposedly intelligent. He has some good policy points here and there. But on this panel, instead of talking about the actual truth, this is a guy who, let me put it to you this way. Do you remember Nate Sandman? The kid wearing a MAGA hat in front of the, I think either the Washington Monument or the Lincoln Memorial, somewhere along the National Mall, with that annoying Native American pounding on the drum and doing an chant in front of him. It was really cringy. It was really dumb. And it all got started by a bunch of black Israelites that were making fun of these kids. And then the entirety of the mainstream media lied about these kids, saying that they were the instigators. And it was so egregious reporting that, by the way, Bakari Sellers, yeah, he jumped in on this. And it was so bad and so far from the truth that Nate Sandman and company sued ABC, I know he sued CNN, and won a ton of money for defamation. And Bakari Sellers, yeah, he was sort of a part of that cabal. I'm kind of shocked that he still has his job after that. That was years ago. And so while he's articulate, while he's intelligent, you can tell that Scott Jennings has had enough of his garbage, because he's joking around saying, oh, Scott, you get things wrong half the time. And yet, during his little spiel, after Jennings just says, no, get away from me, Satan, get away, there is not a single fact that Bakari brings up. And the same problem shows up when it comes to Her Majesty, Miss Lady Catherine. That's the problem of what happens when you go on CNN. You should be able to point at least to one simple fact, one good policy under the Biden administration. When you bring up your points, at least have something that's foolproof, and the moment you bring it up, everyone assumes that you have won the debate. Because it's so airtight, no one's going to come up against it. They can't do that here. because there isn't any. Here's the one good thing that the Biden administration did that I know of off the top of my head. They passed the CHIPS Act, which was basically an attempt to go, okay, Taiwan, China looks like it's about to invade you. We're going to start investing in American manufacturing because Taiwan's where they make the majority of the world's microchips. And if China wants to invade Taiwan and disrupt that flow of the economy, which would be catastrophic for the world consumer market, well, naturally, Congress is going to work together to make sure that's not a problem, and a smart president is going to sign that bill. So even under those circumstances, Joe Biden's presidency has just been meh. So there's no leg to stand on when it comes to immigration. There's no leg to stand on when it comes to economy. And if you want to talk about facts, maybe you shouldn't have the guy that lied about Nate Sandman and the group of kids that were visiting the Washington and Lincoln memorials and monuments in D.C. You'd think that'd be common sense, but man, oh man. They just don't make it like they used to, and of course, CNN can't tell the full truth. They have to just placate the rich white liberals who constantly prop them up, because ultimately, they don't know what's going on either. And so, the moment that veil gets shattered, the moment that veil gets torn, well, the illusion's broken, and there's no more free gravy train for CNN. And that's why they don't have panelists that bring airtight arguments. It's why they don't say anything of substance. It's why they can't even bring one fact, one good fact about the Biden administration. And it's why Jennings is over there rolling his eyes, just having the worst time of his life, dealing with a bunch of nincompoops. And ultimately, these people aren't stupid. But on CNN, they just kind of lose whatever IQ points that they happen to walk in with. Ultimately, it's a bless your heart kind of situation. And Scott, you hang in there, buddy. You're speaking truth to power. Folks, my name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on PolitiBrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. And until then, y'all have a good one.